We have made solid progress in rebuilding our economy from this pandemic, including historic job growth. But it's clear when I listen to people back in Washington state, we have more work to do, especially when it comes to bringing down costs. Because the economy isn't just about numbers on a page and whether they go up or down. It's about people across the country and whether they can get what they need, whether they can take care of their loved ones, and whether things are working for them and their families. When it comes to childcare, things are not working for families at all, and they haven't been for some time. In my state, childcare costs more than college tuition. And nationally, 4 out of 10 parents have gone into debt due to the cost of childcare. And almost 3 in 10 have had to choose between paying for childcare or paying rent. It also costs parents when they have to miss work and miss a paycheck to take care of their kids, or when they have to leave their job altogether since they can't get childcare, something that happened to too many women during this pandemic. But the scope of the problem goes well beyond cost. Many families don't even have the option of getting childcare because they don't live near any childcare providers. Before this pandemic, half of all Americans lived in a childcare desert, communities without enough childcare options. Nationally, there are more than 5 infants and toddlers for every 1 opening, and in rural areas, there are 9 children for every 1 opening. And finding childcare options that meet their needs is even more challenging still for parents of children with disabilities. And this has only been getting worse, in part because childcare and early education workers are dramatically underpaid. Childcare workers, who are most often women and overwhelmingly women of color, earn on average $10.72 an hour and rarely get benefits they need to take care of themselves and their own families, like health care or paid leave or retirement benefits. That made it hard enough to retain high-quality childcare workers because they could make more an hour at Target or McDonald's. But then COVID hit. The pandemic decimated the childcare system, causing an estimated 1 out of 10 providers to close their doors and a third of workers to be laid off or furloughed. And things would have been even worse if Democrats didn't take action in the American Rescue Plan to keep our child care providers open. So let's not mince words when it comes to the reality of this crisis. Our child care system is fundamentally broken. Families are struggling to find and afford child care options that work for them. Child care workers are struggling to make ends meet on poverty-level wages. Child care providers are struggling to stay open, and the tools that we currently have simply are not up to the job of fixing this. Now, there's no question our primary federal child care program, the Child Care Development Block Grant, has helped many families with low incomes to get child care. But there's also no question it is not enough for the task at hand. Right now, CDBG only reaches 1 in 9 kids who are eligible for it. Put another way, only 15% of the children eligible for CCDBG actually get subsidies. And there are tens of millions of families struggling to afford child care who aren't even eligible for CDBG support. So in short, we've got an affordability problem. Child care shouldn't be an extra mortgage. A wages problem. Child care workers are leaving the field for higher paying work. And an options problem. There just aren't enough providers for most families to find one they like. This is not just terrible for parents and kids, but our economy as a whole. I have heard from businesses across Washington state who are losing workers or unable to hire new ones because parents can't find childcare. And we're seeing this across the country too. Before the pandemic, 2/3 of parents said childcare affected their ability to stay in the workforce, and a more recent survey found 7 in 10 said childcare uncertainty could force them or their partner out of their jobs. The reality is that when parents can't work because of childcare, that's not just a problem for them. It's one more position a small business cannot fill. It's one less link in our supply chain moving things along. And ultimately, it's one more strain on our economy as a whole. That's why Democrats have been putting forward bold solutions on childcare. We have a fully paid plan to bring down costs for families, bring up wages for workers, and give parents across the country more freedom to choose the quality childcare options that are right for them, including family childcare providers and faith-based providers, instead of going into debt or opting out of the workforce. Same with pre-K. Parents of 3- and 4-year-olds will have more options to send their kids to quality preschool for free. In year 1 of our plan, 2/3 of working families would pay no more than 7% of their income for childcare. And when it is fully implemented, it would reach 9 in 10 working families and save the typical family more than $5,000 a year. We would ensure high-quality providers of every stripe can pay their workers a competitive wage and keep their doors open. And we want to make sure it's all fully paid for by simply asking the wealthiest and those at the top to pay their fair share. So my message today is when it comes to childcare, one of the big budget items most working families have to navigate, the status quo is not working at all for the millions of parents who need childcare and the providers who need to recruit and retain talented educators. And nothing like the status quo is going to cut it. Parents are stressed. They are tired of asking, can I choose the provider I actually like? Can I afford this every month? Or is it worth me going back to work if I have to pay as much rent or mortgage or college tuition to send my child to a provider that I trust? Or how long am I going to be on this wait list? What do I do in the meantime? I can tell you as a former preschool teacher, I've seen what it means to parents to have those questions answered, to have this stress lifted, and to have quality, affordable childcare. And I want that for every parent who's trying to do their job and take care of their kids. Let's lower childcare costs for as many working parents as we can. Let's offer parents more options. Let's provide children with high-quality early learning experience to help them thrive. And let's help businesses fill all those vacancies they've got. Let's work towards an economy that actually works for working families. And let's do it now, because our families and our country cannot afford to keep waiting. That is what I am focused on, and I'm looking forward to hearing from our witnesses today as we discuss this. And before I turn it over to Senator Burr, I do have a number of letters I want to submit for the record. I seek unanimous consent to put in the record 11 letters in support of a robust investment in our nation's child care sector, including a letter from over 3,000 child care providers, parents, and organizations, several letters from faith-based organizations, a letter from more than 100 economists, a letter from more than 300 national and state organizations, and a letter from over 100 retired admirals and generals. So ordered.